Let me tell you a story that I think illustrates quite usefully different attitudes to the issue of going undercover. We once had a panel at the African Investigative Journalism Conference with three very different journalists discussing the ethics of undercover reporting. So the first was from Reuters, a person who'd done a major award-winning story exposing the Philippines president who was so involved in the anti-drug, who did terrible things. What was his name in the anti-drug campaign?
Duterte.
That's right, Duterte, and actually did a remarkable story. She said, you know, Reuters is a news agency. The rule is absolutely clear. You cannot go undercover. You have to let everyone know you're a journalist first and foremost. Unbreakable rule. But look, I managed to get the story the same. It made it harder, but I got it. Then there was the guy from Channel 4 who had been responsible for the story where they got, I'm sorry, my memory's, I'm losing my memory. The story where they got an admission from somebody stealing information off Facebook and selling it to political parties. You remember that story? Major story, very important story. The Channel 4 rule was you could go undercover under certain circumstances with editorial permission, and only when there was no other way to get the story, but you couldn't entrap. So you couldn't entrap. In other words, you couldn't lead them into the trap. You had to let them walk into that space where they were going to tell you stuff. And what they did was they hired an actor and they trained this actor very carefully to pretend he was someone else and get this person talking, but absolutely to make sure he never entrapped. He never suggested what he wanted to hear and led him down that road. But he said, look, we got the story and it had major impact. And the third is somebody many of you will know, Anas Anas, the Ghanaian master of undercover journalism, a kind of legend of African journalism. The man you often see with beads over his face because he tries to hide his identity so he can go underground all the time. And he said, look, I have one aim. Catch them, get them put into prison. Do what you have to do. If you have to go undercover, if you have to lie, if you have to pretend to be something else, if you have to mislead, if you have to entrap, the point is to catch the crooks, work with the police, get them convicted and put into prison. That's what matters. So you can see very different attitudes.
Exactly, varying approaches. Yes.
And just to tell you, for example, Anas Anas got 14 judges, if I remember correctly, in Ghana jailed because he entrapped them into taking bribes.
So, is there a clear-cut answer to this? No.
No. So the point I was leading to was be careful of seeing ethics as a set of rules. You can do this, you can't do that. I don't think that's the case because, you know, there's certain things you can't do, but you can if it really is in the public interest and there's no other way to get the story. But on that hand, you can't do anything for those reasons. So to me, ethics is about understanding the problems and the issues, understanding that what you do can cause harm. You know, I think the root of it is to understand that journalism can do an immense amount of good and it can harm people as well. And very often you're doing an important public interest story, but you're also going to hurt people, sometimes without intending it. So there's no strict rules. It's being conscious of how you may cause harm and hurt people and looking to avoid that. I don't think we teach ethics as a set of yes or no rules, because life is not like that.